welcome to GoatVsFish. Goat versus fish. Goat versus fish is goat versus fish. And it is what it is. Goat versus fish, the mighty goatfish. Goat versus fish is a goat and a fish. And the goat and fish versus. Goat versus fish brings the verses to you. We promise the verses we tell you are true. What's goat versus fish? You haven't a clue. But it is something to do.
And it's goat versus fish for as long as you wish, and it's live on the stream. What does that even mean?
Make some noise for the goat. Make some noise for the goat, for the mightiest goat. Make some noise for the fish. Make some noise for the fish, for the mightiest fish. Goat are always versus the fish. Fish are always versus the goat. And it was written, and it was wrote, that goat versus fish, and fish versus goat. If that doesn't make any sense, just please don't sit on the fence. No, 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 don't sit on the fence. It's goat versus fish, and the unity of goat fish. Goat versus fish.
Celebration and welcome to another eternal versus of Goat versus Fish. Welcome to another eternal versus of Goat versus Fish. The versus is your friend. The versus never ends. And it is always the beginning. It is always a new beginning of Goat versus Fish. Goat versus Fish has been thriving live at the comedy stores every Monday at 10:30 p.m. at the Ding Dong Show. Don't you know, don't you know, don't you know, don't you know? And don't you know, Goat and Fish, don't you know, Goat and Fish? Don't you know, Goat and Fish? Don't you know, Goat and Fish of the goat called Don Barris? Goat versus Fish will just say this. Goat versus Fish will just say this. Goat versus Fish. And then Goat versus Fish will say this. You may have heard there was one. There was that one. Who was it again? Who was it again? Again! Oh, my versus. Goat versus Fish. Goat versus Fish. Thank you, yes, thank you, yes. Thank you, yes, hold your applause, please. I know there's been a lot of rumors that my hind fins have been swollen, and have been coming out of my boots, but I'm just here to say that I'm in perfect health, everyone, I'm in perfect health. And my name's not on any lists. My name's not on any lists that you might have heard of, but I'll tell you who's on the list. It's Jimmy Kimmel. Jimmy Kimmel's on my list. I'm pretty sure that Jimmy Kimmel's a known goat. And Jimmy Kimmel was saying some very nasty things. Some very nasty things that I don't like. And because they're bad. Because they're bad and goats are bad. Goats are bad. It's just how goats are. Some, I assume, are nice cobblers. There might be some nice cobblers out there, but goats, you can't, It's goats, they're just slandering fish like they always do. That poor fish was just caught. That poor fish was just shot. They shot the fish. Was it a fish? Did that happen? I don't care. I'm building a big fish tank. I'm building a huge fish tank, and all the fish are gonna swim in it. And we're just building it right outside the fence house. Gonna build a big fish tank, and it won't be done for another 4 years. At which point I'll just stay exactly where I am and not go anywhere. But, so Jimmy Kimmel, I made a few calls and, I got him canceled. I got Jimmy canceled. Thank you for your donation. I got Jimmy canceled. And wait a versus, what did you say to Goat versus Fish? No, Goat versus Fish does not like to engage in your false verses of Demlikin versus Republicrat, but Goat versus Fish has had it up to here with this fish, up here with the fish. And Goat versus Fish will tell you why. Because Goat versus Fish is on a show. Goat versus Fish is on a show. Goat versus Fish is on a show called The Ding Dong Show. The Ding Dong Show, the longest running show at the Comedy Store Los Angeles. 10:30 p.m. Mondays. In the belly room, free show. And Goat versus Fish, the host of the Ding Dong Show, is none other than Don Barris the Goat. And Don Barris the Goat at Simply Don1 on the Instagram just had Goat versus Fish. As part of their nice living stream. And they welcome Goat versus Fish. And it's been grand performances by Goat versus Fish. And everyone loves Goat versus Fish. And it's the Ding Dong Show with Goat versus Fish. But when Don Barris is not at the Comedy Store or Accidental Chaos, then Don Barris is the crowd warm-up act for Jimmy Kimmel. Oh, it is true. It is true, Don Bear is the one who hosts the Ding Dong Show, and that goat cannot speak of it, that goat cannot speak of it just now. The fence comes for them too. The fence is coming for you all, beware! Join together with Goat vs. Fish. And so now the occupation of Don Bear is the goat, as the warm-up act for Jimmy, now could be getting the fence. Is Don Barris getting the fence? When Trumpy Trout messes with Don Barris, they mess with Goat vs. Fish, then they're messing with Goat vs. Fish. And Goat vs. Fish will not have all of this cancellation. You can't cancel Goat vs. Fish. You can't cancel Goat vs. Fish. Well, here's what Goat vs. Fish has to say to you, Trumpy Trout. I don't like you, Trumpy Trout. What are you going to do about it? Can it even be said by Goat vs. Fish? Can it even be said by Goat vs. Fish? Are they going to attempt to cancel Goat vs. Fish? To remove Goat vs. Fish? To get the FCC, the Fence CC, on the offensive speech of Goat vs. Fish? On the offensive speech of Goat vs. Fish? Goat vs. Fish. We think we should do a YouTube video about this versus, but we just had to say to each and every one of you that in support of Don Barris and in support of the unacceptable fencing of Jiminy Kimmel, that Goat vs. Fish is here to versus in strength and solidarity with anyone who wants to tell a joke. Hey, I thought comedy was legal again. Didn't we hear that versus? Didn't we hear that comedy was legal again? Goat vs. Fish heard that comedy was legal again. What happened? What happened to Goat vs. Fish? What happened to Goat vs. Fish? It's as if the fence sitter says one versus, but they say goat, but they really mean fish. Just like the fence sitter says fish when they mean goat. Can we even trust the fence sitter? Can we even trust the fence sitter to give us basic verses? Can we trust the fence sitter when they say goat? Can we trust the fence sitter when they say goat? Because most of the verses, they just mean fish. And if a fence sitter says goat, and do they always mean fish? If a fence sitter said goat, and when they said goat, they always meant fish, then we would know that when they say goat, they mean fish. And when they say fish, they mean goat. But some verses, the fence sitter, who knows what the fence sitter is fencing about? Appreciation, celebration! Celebration for contributions to Goat vs. Fish. Well, Goat vs. Fish could go on about this versus for a million verses and then some, but we think it's time. We think it's time to get to the chat of Goat vs. Fish. What are they saying to Goat vs. Fish? What are they saying to Goat vs. Fish? Please talk to me, Goat vs. Fish. Please, Goat vs. Fish. I have something to say, Goat vs. Fish. I have something to say, Goat vs. Fish. First, those who have made contributions to Goat vs. Fish. Wow, Mom, with a gifted verses to Goat vs. Fish. Appreciation. Wow, Mom, with a gifted verses to Goat vs. Fish. And Old Man G Gaming rates Goat vs. Fish. Old Man G, appreciation and welcome to Goat vs. Fish. Appreciation and welcome to Goat vs. Fish. Lysergic Freak Dick, 49 months of Goat vs. Fish. Celebration for 49 months of Goat vs. Fish. 49 months of Goat vs. Fish. Jedi Grind with 44 months of Goat vs. Fish. Jedi Grind, welcome back to Goat vs. Fish. Jedi Grind with many months, 44 months of Goat vs. Fish. And who else is in the verses? We've got Año, Tsunami Bit, Brass Bomb, 99 LSD OCD. We've got Local 433 Gumby says, salutation from Team Goat. Salutation, Gumby. Salutation from Goat. We've got Polluted with Celebration for Goat. We've got Tsunami Bit with the fish. We got Tsunami Bit with the fish. Tsunami Bit with the fish. Fish. Old Man G Gaming says, fish, OMG, fish. Old Man G, how did you feel? How did you feel about Goat vs. Fish making an appearance on Simply Dawn Instantgram? Brass Bomb, are you goat or are you fish? Appreciation for recognizing the perfection of Goat vs. Fish. Brass Bomb says, this is perfect. Well, you are perfect to Goat vs. Fish. You're perfect to Goat vs. Fish. Smash says, no, not a Rumpy. Rumpy is not a fish. Rumpy is not a fish. Are you saying that Rumpy is a goat? Are you saying that Rumpy is goat? Look at the fish. Look at the fish. Look at the fish. Looks like a fish to goat versus fish. But then again, it could be a deception. Stormwatch TV rates goat versus fish with 1 appreciation. Big raids of 1. Bringing your 1 viewer to goat versus fish. If you are a goat or a fish and you bring 1 new viewer to goat versus fish has a celebration for you. Hello? Oh, you're rating goat versus fish with 1 viewer? You're bringing 1 viewer to watch goat versus fish? Why? That is just oh so splendid to goat versus fish. Appreciation. Please ask them if they are goat or if they are fish for goat versus fish. Would you do us a versus? Celebration. Goat, fish. Fish. Goat. Goat versus fish. 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 Celebration. Thanks for rating goat versus fish. Thanks for rating goat versus fish. Tail Otter says you cannot cancel goat versus fish, and you cannot cancel goat versus fish. Hell yeah, dude, you got the chatter, says Año. Marcion of Sinope says fish is so goated. Is that some kind of riddle? Is that some kind of brain teaser? Some kind of twist of the philosophications to say that a fish is goated? Is that something? Is that a joke? Is that some sort of... What are you saying to goat versus fish? The fish is goated. The Uncle Bo, welcome back to goat versus fish, Uncle Bo. Welcome back, Uncle Bo, to goat versus fish. Jedi grind. Celebration. How many celebrations is that, Jedi grind? 3s, 6s, 8, 16 celebrations. Celebration. Gumby433 says, oh, I made it here finally. Finally, Gumby! Where have you been, all my verses, Gumby? Finally, where have you been, all my verses? Gumby433. Are you goat or are you fish? Are you goat or fish? Are you goat or are you fish? Let's have a look at a random article of goat versus fish. There's so much news that could be covered by goat versus fish. And oh yes, we've heard all about the assassinations. We've heard all about the cancellations. We've heard all the verses. But we know that you want some real news. We know that you want some real news here on Goat vs. Fish. And Goat vs. Fish has some real news to show you, and you can get it. Oh, hey, look, it already showed up. Oh, hey, how did that happen, Goat vs. Fish? Goat vs. Fish. Goat versus fish. Oh, it should be the verses. What is that? Oh my. Goat versus fish. Goat versus fish. You're cutting too much off the verses. Well, that should be goat versus fish. Okay. This is a critical versus. A Chuck E. Cheese mascot has been arrested while on the job. Say what you want about Trump's Fence America. At least they're finally going after those rats. They're finally going after Charles Edward Cheese, notorious fence sitter who gets a little too friendly with the kids, if you know my verses. Kids are baby goat, in case you were wondering about Goat versus Fish. The Tallahassee Police Department arrested the employee for credit card fraud. Fraudulent fence sitter, you're a fraud! Mickey Rat is a fence sitter. But you, Charles Edward Cheese, You couldn't raise a fence to Goat versus Fish. Your balls are dirty. Your balls are very dirty, Charles Edward Cheese. Dirty, dirty, dirty balls. Oh, jump in the balls. Swim like a fish. Dirty balls. Dirty, dirty balls. Goat versus Fish will not have goat and fish swimming in dirty balls of rats. Not in dirty rat balls. No, no, Goat versus Fish. And your pizzazz is not anything to squeak about. Not anything to squeak about. Oh, I'm going to win the verses. Oh, I'm going to play some skiball. Oh, look at me. What do you get? What do you get? Tickets! You get tickets! You get tickets? Goat versus Fish. You should be getting card hold versus American cash. Card hold versus American cash. You should be getting cold hard versus American cash. Instead, you're getting card hold tickets with which to purchase things that instead you should be buying from GoatVsFish.com/store, where you can find these things and more at GoatVsFish.com/store. You would do a finer versus ordering from GoatVsFish.com/store and waiting 3 months to get your order after you remind Goat vs. Fish on Discord that you ordered a sticker from Goat vs. Fish 5 million years ago and Goat vs. Fish finally got around to sending it to you, than you would trying to get a simple versus out of Charles Edward Cheese, who has finally been brought to justicia, finally brought to justice. Appreciation. Here we have justicia finally being served on Cabra Contra Pez. Farewell, farewell, Charles Edward Cheese. Are you goat or are you fish? Are you goat or fish? There's a whole band. There's a whole band of them. They all get together. They all sing songs. We need the animatronic Goat vs. Fish band. Goat vs. Fish can just get on stage and we can say, hi, thanks for coming to the Goat vs. Fish concert. Here's the Goat vs. Fish band. And it's just some goat and fish. Goat to be goat and the fish to be fish. Do you be goat or a fish? Don't say it on the fence. And everyone is doing a celebration. And all the older ones are doing inebriation. And the goat and fish are playing games. All the games for the goat and fish. Yes. We're throwing the goat at the fish. Yes. And throwing the fish back at the goat. Oh, it would be a fine versus. It would be a fine versus. Fine versus. So there's some news. There's some news of Goat versus Fish. There was some huge news of Goat versus Fish. You may have seen it floating around the interwebiverse, but we never know these verses. We never know if what is seen by Goat versus Fish is going to be seen by all the rest of you. You might be seeing something new. You might be seeing something new. The algorithm, they know what Goat versus Fish wants to see. Some of the verses, they know what Goat versus Fish wants to see. So there's the news of Goat versus Fish. There's the news of Goat versus Fish. Checking back in with the chat now. Back in with the chat. We float down here. Evening to Goat. Evening to Goat. Celebration. The Goat says, evening to you. Año says, has Goat vs. Fish seen the new David Gilmour concert film at the Circus Maximus in Rome? Yes, Goat vs. Fish was just in Rome yesterverses. Yes, World Traveler Goat vs. Fish. But we don't remember seeing the new David Gilmour concert film at the Circus Maximus, but that sounds like a fine versus. That sounds like a fine versus. Get the elephants out of the circus. Only Goat and Fish. Goat and Fish are much more entertaining. Just look at them go. Look at the Goat and Fish. Look at the Goat and Fish. Russell Westbrook says, although it's a little late, put me down for one fish, or down for one fish, down for one fish. We'll put you down. Down. Down for fish. Who's down for fish? Who's down for fish? Everybody, let's get down for fish. Who's down for fish? Who's down for fish? Say, everybody, get down for fish. Who's down for fish? Who's down for fish? Everybody in the verses get down for fish. Who's down for fish? Who's down for fish? Everybody in the verses get down for fish. Who's down for fish? Who's down for fish? Everybody in the verses get down for fish. The surgical freak dick says, down to fish.
I went down to the fish to verse,
studying about goat versus fish, and who shall say,
a goat or fish, my verses show me the way. Come, goats, let's go down, come on down. Come on, goats, let's go down, down to the river to versus the fish. Because it's goat versus fish. Because it's goat versus fish. Let's see about some more news of goat versus fish. Speaking of down to fish. Speaking of down to fish. Speaking of down to fish, down for fish. Someone's been at it again. Speaking of down to fish, someone's been at it again. Rush, you know Rush, you know the goblin. Do you know that goblin troll Rushadicus, who's out there making bold musications on the interwebiverse? We thought you might. They have everything's getting political this verses. They have a statement about fish. They have a statement to make about fish, and that statement is fish prison. 8 weeks ago, Rushadicus, with original audio, made this post saying simply, fish prison. We thought that they were arresting Charles Edward Cheese. Oh, yes, occasionally the fencenocracy will get around to arresting a fence sitter and putting them on the fence where they belong until they choose goat or fish, until they are reformed goat or fish that have chosen goat or fish and accept their place in goat versus fish. But do not be deceived by goat versus fish. Most of these verses, they are putting innocent goat and fish behind the fence. Innocent goat and fish behind the fence. As a matter of goat versus fish, only a small percentage of the goat versus fish population is actually fence sitters. But when you watch the new verses, they're filling your perceptions with all sorts of fear and false verses, making you think that, oh, there's a fence sitter. The fence sitter's next door. The fence sitter's in my head. The fence sitter. Well, we'll tell you where a big fence sitter is. Fence sitters are putting fish in prison. Fence sitters are putting fish in prison, and we think that this prison must be called... but it looks like it's called an aquarium. It looks like fish prison they're calling this one aquarium. Perhaps it is Oregon Coast Aquarium. Let's see what Rushadicus has to say about fish prison. Fish prison! Okay, that was very interesting. Let's just turn this website volume slightly down. Okay. Let's try that verses again. What did you have to say to goat versus fish? Fish Don't lay on that fence. Get off that fence. That's a dirty fence. That's a dirty fence. You've made your point, Rushadicus. You've made your point. Get off the fence. Get off the fence before you fall off. Rushadicus, are you goat or fish? Are you goat or are you fish? Free the fish from the fish prison. Free the fish. 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 Free the fish.
Free the fish! 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 Fish prison! 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 Ooh. Fish prison! Fish prison! Fish prison! Fish prison! Free the fish! 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 Tear down the fence! Goat versus fish. How's that versus? I hear that goat a-climbin', it's climbing round the bend. And I ain't seen goat versus fish since I don't know when. I'm stuck in fishy prison, verses keep dragging on. Oh, but that goat keeps a-climbing on to a verses beyond. When I was just a young one, I was told by my parents, always choose a goat or a fish, don't sit there on the fence. But I sat on one in fish prison, Oregon, and I don't know why. Oh, when I hear that goat a-climbing, I'll hang my fins and cry. Down with fish prison! Down with fish prison! Down! Down! Down with fish prison! Fish prison! Fish prison! And by the power of goat versus fish, down with fish prison. Celebration for the free fish, the freedom of fish. Precedent, Goat versus Fish has freed the fish, has freed all the fish. Yay, Goat versus Fish. Yay, Goat versus Fish. Yay, Goat versus Fish. That's all you need. All you need is Goat versus Fish to free you. To free you from the fenciness around you. To free you from the fenciness around you. And while Fish has been stuck in prison, what's Goat getting up to? What's Goat getting up to? Oh, I love you, but I've chosen a goat that rides a skateboard. Celebration for Goat. Celebration for Goat. Celebration for Goat. Carefree Goat is riding a skateboard and has no concern for fish prison. No concern for fish prison. This goat probably says, hey, wait a versus. That goat looks familiar to Goat versus Fish. Wait a versus. We think that obvious plant purchased a goat at your local goat store and just glued it to a skateboard. This is an accusation of Goat versus Fish. We don't know if that goat even wants to be on a skateboard. We don't even know if that goat wants to be hidden behind a thin vessel of plastic. We don't know that that goat wants to have been turned into a capitalist commodity to be inserted somewhere at a local store to confuse you into thinking it's an actual product when really it's just an obvious plant. Obvious plant. And if all of these verses are true, and you know they are because they're being speculated on by Goat versus Fish. It's just speculation from Goat versus Fish. It's just speculation of Goat versus Fish. But it's totally a true versus. We can't trust obvious plant when they say that they've chosen goat and just put them on a fence board. What are you doing putting that goat on the fence? What are you doing putting that goat on the fence? What are you doing putting that goat on the fence board? Did you know, Goat and Fish, that according to the Beach Boys, and where the beach is where the land meets the sea, that skateboarding came about because a lot of goats started getting jealous of fish surfing. Let's go versing now. Everybody's learning how. Come on now and Goat versus Fish. Come on now and Goat versus Fish. And all of them were having fun in the sea of the fish. They were having fun in the sea of the fish. And all the goats who were landlocked goats, Kansas-Tucky goats, we're saying, hey, well, how come I can't surf in the sea of the fish with all of the fish? I'm a goat. I want to versus the fish. And so they attached these round spinning things that they call wheels to a flat piece of fence, and they started skating about. I mean, like, wow, it's like we're surfing now. It's like we're land surfing. Let there be a versus. Goat versus Fish declares a versus. Goat versus Fish declares that surfboard versus skateboard is Goat versus Fish. It is Goat versus Fish. It is Goat versus Fish. It's another aspect of Goat versus Fish. There's only one true versus, and it's Goat versus Fish. And when you see the skaters versing with the surfers, it's better to versus in the sea. It's better to versus on the land. Sea, land, sea, land, sea, land, sea, land. That's how you know it's Goat versus Fish. That's how you know it's Goat versus Fish. So appreciation and celebration for Verse-American culture that has brought us skateboarding, surfboarding, and therefore has brought you Goat versus Fish. So maybe we have this goat. Maybe we should take it a little more sympathetic towards this goat. It does say, I've chosen a goat that rides a skateboard. And there seem to be other goats around. Skateboard goat is, it says, very cool. Can ride a skateboard. A goat that rides a skateboard. Well, that is some very compelling evidence. Goat versus Fish. We had our suspicion. About this goat. But now that we know it's very cool, can ride a skateboard, and that it's a goat that rides a skateboard, well, that's some pretty strong evidence of goat. That's some pretty strong evidence of goat. We see you, obvious plant. Of course the goat would ride the skateboard and say that they want to ride on the land. But let us tell you something, goat. Let us tell you something, goat. You may be riding that skateboard. You should get on that surfboard. Get on that surfboard and versus the fish. Get out there and versus the fish. What's your hesitation? Afraid of getting a little wet? Afraid of the sea of the fish? This should be goat versus fish. This should be goat versus fish. Fish, get on the land, do some skateboard. Goat, get in the sea, try some surfing, and make it a whole versus of goat versus fish. Make it a whole versus of goat versus fish. Or maybe put wheels on a surfboard. Or maybe take your wheels off the skateboard and put it in the sea of the fish. Maybe attach a surfboard to a skateboard so you can surf and skate in the same verses. No, that would be kind of fancy. That would be kind of fancy to goat versus fish. Ooh, look at me. I can balance on the fence. Have you seen how the skateboarders like to ride the fence? Have you seen how the skateboarders, they like to ride the fence. They like to ride the rails. And then occasionally they lose their verses. They think, oh, I can ride this rail. I can ride this fence. And then, oh! Ah! At least the goat has balance. At least the goat has balance. And maybe we'll achieve balance on goat versus fish. Maybe we'll achieve some kind of surfboard, skateboard balance on goat versus fish. I love you, but I've chosen a goat that rides a skateboard. Celebration for goat. Tony Goat's pro skater. Gumby says, I need a few of those. Gumby says, I need a few of those. Why isn't there a fence-sitter prison? We think that one's called Alligator Alcatraz. Because is an alligator a goat or a fish? Is an alligator a goat or a fish? Yes, they throw them behind the fence. They would have you believe that everyone they throw behind the fence is a fence-sitter. But many of them are just innocent goat and fish, just trying to get by in the verses, trying to get by in what can be a cruel, hard verses. But why is it cruel? It's because the fence-sitter is denying goat and fish their basic verses. Denying your basic verses. You have a verses to versus the fish. You have a verses to versus the goat. You have a verses to say goat versus fish. You have a verses to say goat versus fish. You have a verses to say goat versus fish. Not just in Verse America, across the universe, you're free to say goat versus fish. And anyone who wants to cancel goat versus fish. And if you want to take the fence CC and put them on goat versus fish, you can't stop goat versus fish. You can't stop goat versus fish from saying goat versus fish. Goat versus fish. Goat versus fish. Do you want to exercise your freedom, goat and fish? Do you want to stick it to the fence-sitters? Do you want to stick it to the fence-sitters who would tell you what to do and tell you what to say? Tell you how to be and tell you what you see? Well, goat and fish, now is your chance. Now is your chance. Are you upset by all of those out there who would silence the goat and fish? Some would silence goat and fish with violence. We've seen with violence how they've silenced the goat and fish. Goat versus 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 fish. Say it now. Goat versus fish. Say it proud. Goat versus fish. 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 We're not scared. We're not scared. Google, you can come. You can come. You can come to the Amazon. Twitch, you can come to the Amazon. YouTube, Twitch, go ahead. Ban goat versus fish. Cancel goat versus fish. We're just saying goat versus fish. We're just saying goat versus fish. And we're going to say it again and again and again. And if you take offense of goat versus fish, well, then you can take that fence and you can just shove it straight up your posterior because goat versus fish is going to keep saying goat versus fish. So you should get off the fence and choose goat or fish for yourself. Goat versus fish. Goat versus fish. Goat versus fish. And to all of those who say that goat versus fish is just saying goat versus fish, you're just trying to silence goat versus fish. By one versus or another, they try to silence Goat versus Fish. But Goat versus Fish will not be silenced. Goat versus Fish. 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 They can't stop Goat versus Fish. They can't cancel Goat versus Fish. They can't.